Hi, Jessica here, and this is my daughter Tennyson. We are here to do her 2-month-old update and my 2-month postpartum update. Just right out the gate, I'm not sure how this video is going to go. Miss Tennyson has been in a very interesting mood all day. I'm getting the sense that she doesn't feel very well. She's really not let me put her down very often, and when I do, she starts crying. So if we have to start videoing this today and then finish on another day, that's fine. You just kind of learn to roll with it when you have a 2-month-old. She's the boss, so I'm going to do whatever works best for her. And if you see us ending the video in a different outfit than when we began, then that's why. But if you're new to our channel, thank you so much for joining us and welcome. If you have been with us for our other videos, then hello again. And we really appreciate you going on this little journey with us. We're having so much fun. The first thing I really want to mention about her being 2 months old is that she turns officially 2 months old tomorrow. And I was expecting for every day of her growing to be the struggle between joy and despair, thinking that I would really miss her as a newborn and that I would miss her being so small and tiny, because that's what you hear so often from everyone, that it's so bittersweet. And whereas I did really treasure the first few days and first few weeks that we had with her, you know, as her officially being a newborn, even though she's technically still in the newborn stage, yeah, I really treasured that time. But I have to say, she is so much fun as a 2-month-old. She has started smiling at us. She expresses her voice. You can tell that she likes the sound of her own voice, and so she'll carry on little conversations with us. She'll wait for us to talk and then she'll say something back, and then we'll talk and then she'll talk, and it really is a little conversation that we're having with her. And I've really she's so much fun right now that I really did enjoy the newborn stage, but I have to say I don't miss it. Maybe that'll kick in when she's like 18 and graduating high school and leaving the nest, things like that. Then I'll miss her being a newborn. But right now I'm really enjoying her being a 2-month-old. So as far as I am concerned with my health, I haven't lost any more weight. I think I stopped losing weight after about 3 weeks. My pre-pregnancy weight was 120. And I think I got up to 137. I think I gained 17 pounds total. Anyway, now I am back down to 124, and that's pretty much where I'm staying. I've been at 125, 124 since about 5 weeks. And so I think that that's where I'm going to be staying. As I said, oh, she's asleep. Little angel. I said earlier in her 2-week update, I think, that I won't be able to dish those last 4 pounds until I start exercising. And I have not started exercising yet, so those will probably go away after I do exercise. And once again, the 120 pounds, that pre-pregnancy weight, was actually kind of on the heavier side for me. Not that it's heavy, and not that I have any body image issues. I don't. I just prefer to be a little bit lighter. About in the 115, 110 range is where I'm most comfortable for me, and that's still within a really healthy BMI for my height, which is 5'3". So if I lost the 5 more pounds, that would be great once I do start exercising. And if I lost 10 or 15 more pounds, then I would be okay with that too. Tenny sleeps less now. So as a newborn, she would basically wake up to eat and occasionally wake up when I changed her diaper. And for the most part, she slept a good 20 hours a day. Now she sleeps a lot less. So the routine that we have is that we'll wake up somewhere between 9 and 11, somewhere within that 2-hour window. We're night owls around here. We do not go to bed early. We do not wake up early. That's just how we do it. It works great for us. And she's caught on to our little routine, probably even from when I was pregnant with her. But we wake up somewhere between 9 and 11, and then she'll usually eat right when she wakes up, and then she'll be awake for probably an hour and a half, and then she'll usually take a cat nap, so maybe 45 minutes to an hour. And then she'll wake up and eat again. She eats all the time, it seems like. And then she'll be awake for probably another hour or two, sometimes even 2.5 hours. But usually between the hours of 2:30 and 4, she lays down and takes a nap. And that's usually a really good nap that she takes. Usually somewhere between 2.5 and 3.5 hours. Sometimes there was once that she even took a nap for 4 hours. And it was like every time she goes to sleep during that little threshold where it's, I know that she's probably going to be sleeping for that 3 hours. I always, like, in the back of my mind hear Rocky music coming on, like Eye of the Tiger, like I'm getting ready to put my gear on, I'm suiting up to like be in this flying frenzy getting things done around the house while she's napping. That's what I do most of the time. There are occasions where I really listen to my body if I'm tired and lay down for, definitely not for the 3 hours, but usually maybe for like 45 minutes or something while she is sleeping, since I am still waking up during the night to feed her. She fights sleep. This is something that I do, so I was prepared for my daughter to do it. I fight sleep, my husband fights sleep. She gets it honestly. And she definitely fights sleep during that period of time, during the middle of the day when she takes that really long nap. I can always tell that it's time for that nap because she'll constantly want to nurse. Even though I can tell she's full, my boob is pretty much drained, but she's wanting to nurse, and then when she starts nursing, she'll unlatch and just start crying. And baby, she's fighting sleep right now. And so that's how I can tell she's fighting sleep. And so usually what I do is I just start rocking her, or maybe I put her in her swing, let her fall asleep there, and then I'll take her and move her to a horizontal laying position for the duration of her sleep. Tenny just went to the doctor a few days ago. She weighed 11 pounds. When she was born, she was 6.7. When she was born, she was 6 pounds, 7 ounces. And so 11 pounds for her at 2 months is a very good weight gain. The pediatrician is very happy about that. She's outgrown a lot of her newborn clothes. She has definitely outgrown all of her newborn sleepers. They're too tight, too short. She can't wear any of those anymore. She's mostly in 3 months sleepers, and she can still wear some of her newborn clothes. Like this is a newborn outfit, but it's pretty large and pretty stretchy, so I expected for this to continue fitting her. It has a little more leeway than say a onesie would have. But for the most part, she's in 0 to 3 months and in 3 months clothing. We use primarily our bedroom for changing her. We have moved the changing station from her nursery into our bedroom. That just works better for us. Tenny got to meet Gwen. So Abby and JD brought Gwendolyn, their first little baby girl, over, and she is 8 days older than Tennyson. It was so much fun to be pregnant with my first baby at the same time as one of my very best friends. Abby was in my wedding, and so when I found out that she was pregnant with a little girl, and then I found out that I was pregnant with a little girl, I just knew they were going to be very best friends. And so Abby and JD came to St. Augustine because they were going to a concert. And yes, they took their month-old baby to a concert with soundproof headphones, which is amazing. They are so cool, so much cooler than I am. I definitely would not go to a concert 1 month postpartum. Anyway, so Tenny got to meet Gwen, and because Abby is so awesome, she also brought matching outfits for the two of them, and so we got the very best pictures of them. Tenny is eating about every 2 to 3 hours, and she's eating approximately 5 ounces. I know about how much she's eating because that's about how much she eats with the bottle. We occasionally do pump and put it in a bottle so that her dad can also enjoy feeding her. And sometimes I would like to enjoy a glass of wine during the evenings, and that just makes more sense for us, so that's the way that we do it. I have increased my milk supply lately by pumping regularly. I try to pump at least once a day, sometimes twice a day. I met with my midwife recently, and they cleared me to be intimate with my husband. They said that all of my stitches, I had 2 stitches, they said that those have healed up nicely. They asked me if I wanted any form of birth control, and I said that no, birth control typically doesn't work very well for me. I don't like the hormonal changes and the side effects and yada yada yada. A million reasons that I have for really not wanting to be on any pharmaceutical form of birth control. And they were saying that breastfeeding is actually a really good form of birth control for the first 6 months if you are exclusively breastfeeding. However, if you are pumping in addition to breastfeeding, then your ovulation cycle will come a little earlier, just because pumping is a little different biochemically, because the baby, produces, there are certain hormones that are produced within the saliva that send signals to your body. And it's a very complex process, of course, but basically, unless you are exclusively breastfeeding and not pumping at all, then breastfeeding is a really good birth control for 6 months. But because I'm pumping also, my ovulation cycle could come anywhere in between the 4 months and 6 months. I'm okay with that. We have ways of being careful. But the great thing is that I have at least 2 more months before I have to worry, hopefully, anything about that. Now she does tummy time and she can turn her head. It's very cute to watch her turn her head. She still gets extremely frustrated with tummy time when she doesn't just fall asleep. But we continue doing it. She's also been to the chiropractor twice, and once because it was right after she was a newborn, and I believe in taking newborns to the chiropractor because of the traumatic nature of birth and how it kind of mangles their bodies as they're coming out of the birth canal. And then she went the second time whenever I went for my postpartum chiropractic adjustment, which was amazing. Just the ravaging nature of not only childbirth, but 9 months of pregnancy, it really takes a toll on you physically. So after I got finished with the chiropractor, I was actually sore for a few days because I needed that adjustment so badly. And so she went that second time with me just because I was seeing a different person, and so I thought that they might be able to, go at her help from a different angle, and he did have some additional ideas, so I don't regret taking her. I think that it has really helped prevent things like colic. We've only had 1 bout of colic. She definitely is a lot less fussy after we have taken her both times, so I'm a firm believer in taking babies to the chiropractor. One thing that the second chiropractor showed me was how to do diaper changes differently. So the average person changes a diaper the same way. You take the feet and you lift them up, and that puts a lot of strain on the infant's abdominal muscles, actually. It doesn't really do a lot to their back. They're very bendy and flexible when they're infants. But it is hard on their stomach because they do not have very well formed abdominal muscles. The chiropractor showed me a different way of changing her, which involves taking her legs, kind of intertwining my hand, grabbing her knee, and just pulling her over to the side. And that way she more easily moves with me, and I can slide the diaper under her from that angle. That is supposed to help things like colic and also any issues that a baby might have with, getting nauseous and spitting up. Tennyson never has had a lot of issues with reflux. She very rarely spits up, but we, like I said, did have that one run-in with colic. And I think that, you know, taking her to the chiropractor, as well as burping her every time she eats, and then even the small change, I can tell has made a big difference, even with her fussiness, of just making that small adjustment of how I change her diaper. That first time that I took Tennyson to the chiropractor, I believe she was only 2 weeks old, and I had the most adorable video. I didn't get as much footage from her second visit to the chiropractor, but during that first visit, the chiropractor actually lifted her up and he showed me how little strength she had in her neck and back. And then he gave her a small adjustment and then lifted her again and showed that she had much better strength in her neck and back just from a very small adjustment that he made. So it was really interesting to watch that, and I want her to grow properly, and you know, making sure that she is properly aligned really helps with that. Tennyson has actually been holding her head up very well on her own since she was about 3 weeks old. She does get tired occasionally, and so her head will drop, but she's shown pretty good neck strength, you know, from the time, or not necessarily from the time that she was born, but from very early on. I haven't really gone into detail about her run-in with colic yet. She's only had really the one time, and it's just as awful as everyone says it is. She was up for 4 hours screaming. Chad and I both just took turns carrying her on her stomach. That's really the only thing that would soothe her. And then even then, when we were carrying her and applying pressure to her stomach, she would still sometimes start screaming again. We tried to burp her. We tried just so many things. We tried massaging her little tummy, and you know, it's frustrating for us, of course, because it keeps you up well into the night and it's exhausting. But the main thing is that it was so heartbreaking for me to see her hurting like that. And I felt so helpless, and I knew that she was hurting, and I just could not stand it. It ripped my heart out to know that she was in pain, and I couldn't do anything about it. What finally worked, and I actually don't even know if it worked because it's something that is effective, or if it was just that the colic had run its course. I finally got into a warm bath with her. I got in there and she laid on top of me in the warm water with me, and she even nursed while we were in the tub. And she finally stopped crying, and I don't really know if that is the cure-all for colic or not. I have no idea, but that's finally when she stopped. Her voice went hoarse a couple of days after she had the colic. I initially thought, of course, that it was because, more than likely, due to the fact that she was up screaming for 4 hours, but I'm not sure. Long story short, I googled I googled, you know, what do I do when my baby's hoarse? Is it serious? Is it not? And Google told me that I definitely should take my baby to the doctor. There were no other symptoms. She didn't have a fever. She wasn't pulling out her ears. She wasn't vomiting. She didn't really seem to be in any distress at all, but her voice was just noticeably hoarse. I'd never even thought about the fact that an infant's voice could be hoarse, but there was no mistaking it. I knew what her normal voice was, and that was not it. So when we went to the doctor, he didn't find anything that he said was concerning. He said that at the most severe, he thought perhaps it was laryngitis, and he only mentioned that because he had several kids come in with laryngitis that week. But he suggested that I give her a saline rinse a few times a day in her nose, which we have been doing, and said that if she started, you know, rubbing at her ears or running a fever, to bring her in immediately. Other than that, he would just follow up when she comes in for her vaccines in approximately a week. Tennyson smiles now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, and you can tell that she knows what she's doing. It's not just that infant reflex of smiling that you usually find. Within the first month when they're sleeping, they'll smile a lot. It's like their body is learning how to smile. Now she actually knows what she's doing. She'll smile and she'll laugh when she thinks something is funny. She really smiles a lot at her dad. There are some things I've been trying. I have been trying a little bit of rye parenting and some suggestions of Magda Gerber. Now I haven't fully jumped on board, but there are a few things that I really have enjoyed taking away from Magda Gerber's approach to parenting. And one of those things is allowing your baby the opportunity to process your face. And that includes trying to keep your face very still. So get up very close to their face. I do this a lot whenever I'm changing her diaper, and that's a very special time for us. And that is a time when she really tends to study my face and study her surroundings, and it seems that she just really enjoys that time actually. But I will get very close to her face and I'll just be expressionless, just giving her the opportunity to study my face. And she will just get the biggest smile on her face and she'll start laughing, and you can tell that she just really appreciates that I'm slowing down and allowing her the opportunity to study me and get to know me a little better. And so thank you, Magda. That was a wonderful idea. I've really enjoyed incorporating that into our diaper time and of course at different points throughout the day. My hair has not started falling out yet. I have already prepared myself that everyone says that happens at 3 months. Your hair just starts coming out in clumps. It hasn't happened yet. One postpartum symptom that I have had that's interesting is lightning crotch. I knew that I was going to have that during pregnancy, but I'm not sure why I didn't think about that occurring postpartum also. I guess just as everything is kind of shrinking and getting back to normal. I have had a couple of run-ins with that. Not nearly as painful as it was during pregnancy, but just something to note. Gone is the glow. So I no longer have that pregnancy glow. I really enjoyed the flawless skin I had during pregnancy. It was amazing. My skin was never dry, it was never oily, it was just kind of perfect, and that's definitely gone. My oily skin is back, my hair gets oily again, and I definitely am back to having the imperfections that I had before. I have, you know, little bumps come up here and there. That's something I've always had. My skin's a constant battle, but it was flawless during pregnancy and I really enjoyed that time. It was also flawless for about 6 weeks postpartum, and then my old skin was back. What are you gonna do? Interestingly enough, the one problem that I did have during pregnancy with my skin, which was my cherry angioma, it grew larger and larger the whole time that I was pregnant. Actually, by the time I gave birth, I was looking to have it surgically removed right after Tennyson was born because it got so big and I was so self-conscious about it. And then the second I spit her out, it starts shrinking. It's actually so tiny now, there's no way that I could even have it surgically removed. There's nothing to remove. It's practically non-existent. It's just a tiny red dot, which is what it started out as. I know that cherry angiomas are a lot more common during pregnancy just because of the increased blood supply that you have during that time. And I suppose that's what it was. Anyway, now it's gone. And it's gone basically just in time for my glow to be gone also. Last thing I want to mention, or the last couple of things, is I have been craving sweet food items, desserts, chocolate. I wake up during the middle of the night just absolutely starving, and I know that's because I'm breastfeeding this little one. Breastfeeding is really, really good about helping you keep weight off and helping you drop weight. I'm eating everything in my path. I'm eating anything that I want, when I want it, and I'm maintaining weight. Like I said, I'm not losing anymore, but I'm definitely maintaining. So There are so many advantages to breastfeeding, and I highly recommend it. And the last little thing I'd like to note, which is funny, is that Tennyson has started showing taste aversions as well. So Tennyson takes two things via syringe typically. One is her vitamin D supplement. Of course, since she is exclusively breastfed, most breastfed babies are vitamin D deficient, so she takes her vitamin D supplement daily via syringe. And then she also takes gripe water. She gets hiccups several times a day, just like her dad. And she got hiccups all the time when I was pregnant with her as well. So she's at the point now where they actually tick her off quite often. So when she starts getting hiccups or when she's a little fussy, I'll give her some gripe water. And when I first started giving that to her, when she was less than a month old, she would always just kind of root around for the syringe, just as she would do when she was breastfeeding. Oh. Now she actually makes this face whenever we give her the gripe water, like she doesn't particularly like the way that it tastes. She started doing that, I believe, around 5 weeks old, and it's the cutest thing. She's showing a sign of a taste aversion. So she definitely has been developing her own little personality. We've really enjoyed the fact that she's here. I'm so happy not to be pregnant anymore. And although I am mourning her newborn clothes a little, just looking back and seeing how tiny the diapers were and how tiny her little sleepers are, I'm really enjoying her being 2 months old, and I'm looking forward to the rest of this little adventure with her. So that's all I have for today. She and I are both doing really, really well. Her next visit to the doctor is for her vaccinations, and I'm still doing my research on those. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about that whole process. Of course, vaccinating your child it's a very polarizing subject, so I respect anyone's input on that, and I completely understand if you choose not to vaccinate your child. I completely understand if you do choose to vaccinate your child. So that's what we've been up to. I think I'm going to end the video here because that's really all the updates that we have. But she's so much fun at 2 months old. I'm just so grateful that she's a healthy baby. We haven't had any other health issues, other than that one run-in with colic. So many people have it so much worse, and Chad and I both feel so thankful. We can tell that she's happy, she's gaining weight so well. Really, everything just went so remarkably well. We have so much to be thankful for, and we are. And thank you for joining us today, and thank you for joining us on the rest of our little journey. I'm going to be posting more videos, and so I look forward to sharing the rest of her life with you. Alright, I hope you're having a wonderful day. See you next time.